Between February 1976 and March 1977, a quiet stretch of suburbs north of Detroit became the most terrifying place in America for parents. 4 children were taken in broad daylight from busy streets. They were kept alive for days, sometimes weeks. They were bathed, fed, and cared for. Then they were gently placed in the snow, fully dressed, as if someone had simply tucked them in for the night. The person who did this was never arrested. The case has never been closed, and more than 45 years later, many of the original detectives believe the killer is still alive and still watching. This is the story of the Oakland County Child Killer. Oakland County in the mid-1970s was the kind of place families moved to when they wanted to feel safe. White lawns, new schools, shopping centers still smelling of fresh paint. Detroit was only 20 minutes south, but it felt like another world. Kids rode bikes after dark. Doors stayed unlocked. That all ended on Sunday, February 15, 1976. 12-year-old Mark Stebbins told his mother he was walking to the American Legion Hall in Ferndale to play pool. He promised to be home by 8 to watch a movie with the family. He never walked through the door. For 4 days, volunteers searched every ditch and empty lot. On February 19th, a delivery driver noticed something in a snowbank behind an office building in Southfield, 10 miles away. Mark's body had been placed on top of the snow, still wearing his red jacket and the same clothes he left home in. His hands were folded neatly across his chest. The medical examiner determined he had been gone for several days. The cause was asphyxia, but the exact method was not made public at the time. What shocked investigators most was the absence of any sign of prolonged exposure. Mark had been kept somewhere warm until shortly before he was left in the snow. Parents across the county started picking their kids up from school instead of letting them walk. But the new rules weren't enough. 13 months passed with no answers. Then, just 3 days before Christmas 1976, 12-year-old Jill Robinson had an argument with her mother over a minor household chore. She packed a backpack, grabbed her bicycle, and rode off toward a friend's house in Royal Oak. She never arrived. 4 days later, on Christmas morning, a man driving along a rural stretch of road in Berkeley spotted something lying on the shoulder. Jill's body had been placed in plain view, right beside the road, again on top of the snow. She was wearing the same clothes, her backpack resting nearby. Like Mark, she had been kept alive for days. Panic spread faster this time. The similarities were impossible to ignore. 2 children, both 12 years old, taken from busy areas, held for days, then displayed where they would be found quickly. Police from multiple departments began meeting in secret. They gave the unknown suspect a name they never released to the public: the Oakland County Child Killer. 8 days after Jill disappeared, on December 30th, 10-year-old Kristine Mihelich left her Berkeley home to walk 2 blocks to a 7-Eleven for a magazine. It was early evening, still light outside. She vanished between her house and the store. This time, the wait was longer. 19 agonizing days. Volunteers combed every field. Psychics were called in. Television stations broadcast Kristine's picture every hour. On January 21st, 1977, a man walking his dog near a diner in Franklin Village noticed a small figure in the snow just off the road. Kristine had been placed on her back, arms at her sides, coat buttoned. She was only a few miles from where Jill had been found. The county shut down. Schools cancelled after-school activities. Parents sat in idling cars outside every store and rink. Children were told never to speak to strangers, never to walk alone, never to trust anyone. Then came the case that broke the region's heart. 11-year-old Timothy King lived in Birmingham, one of the wealthiest suburbs in the area. On Wednesday, March 16, 1977, Tim asked his parents if he could ride his skateboard to the drugstore for candy. His house had a back door that opened directly onto the parking lot of the store. It was a trip he had made dozens of times. He left around 7:30 p.m. By 8:15, his parents realized something was wrong. Timothy's disappearance dominated every newscast. His face was on the front page of every newspaper. His mother, Marian King, gave a televised plea that is still remembered by anyone who lived through it. She begged whoever had her son to feed him his favorite meal, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and to let him come home. For 7 days, the entire state held its breath. On March 23rd, a couple driving on a rural road in Livonia spotted something in a shallow ditch. Timothy's body had been placed carefully, his skateboard propped nearby. Investigators later confirmed he had been fed chicken shortly before he passed. 4 children, 4 different cities, all taken in daylight or early evening from busy areas, all kept alive for days or weeks, all returned clean, dressed, and placed gently in the snow where they would be discovered within hours. The terror was unlike anything Michigan had ever seen. Gun sales skyrocketed. Vigilante patrols roamed neighborhoods. One father famously sat outside his daughter's school with a shotgun across his lap. Behind the scenes, a massive task force worked around the clock. More than a dozen police departments combined resources. They interviewed thousands of people. They collected hundreds of fingerprints from payphones and door handles. They chased every lead, no matter how small. What they discovered only deepened the mystery. All the children had been bathed shortly before being left in the snow. Their clothes had been laundered. Their fingernails were clean and trimmed. There were almost no defensive wounds. Whatever happened during their captivity, it appeared they had not fought back. Investigators began to form a profile. The killer was patient, organized, and intelligent. He planned every step. He had access to a private, heated location where he could keep a child for days without being disturbed. He wanted the bodies found quickly, almost as if he needed the attention. Then the letters began arriving. One was mailed to a Detroit newspaper and signed Allen. It claimed to be written by the killer's roommate. It described the murders as part of a larger mission tied to anger over the Vietnam War. It promised more victims. Handwriting analysts were divided. Some believed it was genuine. Others called it the work of a cruel prankster. Either way, the letters fed the public's fear. Over the decades, several suspects rose to the surface. The name that haunts the case most is Christopher Bush. In January 1977, between the disappearances of Jill and Kristine, Bush was arrested in Flint for criminal sexual conduct with minors. Police found ropes, handcuffs, and disturbing photographs in his home. One drawing depicted a boy screaming that bore a striking resemblance to Mark Stebbins. Bush came from a wealthy family. His father was a high-ranking General Motors executive. He was released on bond. 22 months later, in November 1978, Christopher Bush was found dead in his cottage north of Detroit. A shotgun lay beside him. The official ruling was suicide. For decades, the Bush connection stayed buried. Then, in 2008, one of the victims' families received an anonymous tip. Newspaper clippings and documents began arriving in the mail pointing directly to Bush. When investigators reopened the old files, they discovered something stunning. In 1977, hairs recovered from Bush's car had been preserved. Modern mitochondrial DNA testing showed they were consistent with two of the victims. Another suspect, Archibald Ed Sloan, a convicted offender whose car also produced possible hair matches. Sloan is still alive and has never been charged in the murders. Then there was a man known in the files only as Jeff. He lived near one of the body sites, bragged to acquaintances about dark secrets, and failed multiple polygraphs. He died years ago without ever being publicly identified. Over the years, rumors have swirled of a larger ring, a group of connected, wealthy men who protected one another. Some former detectives believe the case was deliberately slowed in the 1970s because of who might have been involved. Others insist it was simply a perfect storm of bad luck and missed opportunities. In 2012, the Michigan State Police announced they were pursuing one primary living suspect. They have never named him publicly. They have said only that he is known to law enforcement and that the investigation is active and ongoing. As of 2025, no one has ever been charged with the murders of Mark Stebbins, Jill Robinson, Kristine Mihelich, or Timothy King. The families have grown older. Brothers and sisters of the victims have become parents and grandparents themselves. Every few years, a new tip breathes life into the case. A deathbed confession, a box of old evidence found in an attic, a fresh DNA comparison. Each time hope rises, and then fades again. The original task force members are mostly retired now. Some have passed away carrying the weight of the unsolved files. Those still alive speak of the case in quiet voices, the way soldiers talk about battles they can never fully leave behind. Mark, Jill, Kristine, and Timothy are remembered every March with candlelight vigils in Birmingham. 4 white crosses stand in a small park. Flowers are still placed there by people who were children themselves when the snowbanks turned into nightmares. If you lived in Michigan in 1977, you remember where you were when Timothy King was found. If you have information, even something small, that has bothered you for decades, the tip line is still open. Calls can be anonymous. Detectives say no detail is too minor, because somewhere, someone knows the truth. Someone helped move a body. Someone washed clothes. Someone heard a confession after too many drinks. Someone saw a car that didn't belong. The children cannot speak for themselves anymore, but we can still speak for them. Mark Stebbins, Jill Robinson, Kristine Mihelich, Timothy King. 4 names that changed a community forever. Their story is not over. and neither is the search for justice. Narrator quiet, resolute. If you have any information about the Oakland County Child Killer case, please contact the Michigan State Police tip line at 1-855-MICH-TIP or the number shown on screen. Every call matters.